Coming up today on the San Francisco 49ers Report, we're going to come through and go through some wild 2026 Niners schedule data. They better get those frequent flyer miles ready because they're going to be traveling a lot. Also, San Francisco making their first signing of the offseason. They have signed an offensive lineman. We'll get to that, but first, we're 82 subscribers away from 192,000 subscribers right here on the channel. It has been a blast building this platform, building this program. We're closing in on 200,000 subscribers, but before we do that, got to get to 192K. So hit that sub button, and if you want elite Niners coverage every single day year-round, this is your go-to spot. We're off and running. Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Let's begin here with some Niners schedule news. We're going to break down the Niners travel miles. It is insane how much the Niners will be in an airplane this upcoming season and how much ground they will travel and cover when they have these away games on the 2026 slate. So, of course, the Niners will be playing the Los Angeles Rams in Melbourne, Australia at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. We've talked about this. Great opportunity for the Niners to play in the first ever NFL game in the country of Australia. And there are a lot of Niner fans who watch this show who live in Australia, the land down under. And so it's an away game for the Niners, but it's pretty much going to be a home game for San Francisco because I guarantee you this, there will be a lot of scarlet, red, and gold in the stands. And it's a stadium, the Melbourne Cricket Ground in Melbourne, which seats about 100,000 people. And then a couple of years ago, the Niners played in Mexico City. They were able to dump truck the Arizona Cardinals. Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback at the time. Deebo Samuel had a big game. George Kittle made a couple of huge plays. Fred Warner loved having the opportunity to play in Mexico City with his heritage and his background. And so the Niners will play in Mexico City, same stadium that they played at a couple of years ago, but we don't know yet the opponent. That is going to be a home game for San Francisco. And so the Niners this year will have a third-place schedule in 2026. This comes off a 2025 season in which the Niners had a fourth-place schedule. Going into the year, it was looked at as one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. It ended up being a little bit harder than what a lot of people anticipated and what the numbers showed, but it allowed the Niners to have a little bit of breathing room. They were able to deal with all those injuries, still win 12 games in the regular season, and then a game in the wild card round, upsetting the Eagles in Philadelphia. But because they finished behind Seattle, behind the Rams, the Niners get a nice little break here in 2026. Third place schedule, and then last year, there wasn't as much of that rest disadvantage as compared to the previous year. Now, we don't know what that rest advantage and rest disadvantage is going to be until the schedule comes out in May. We do know, though, that even though the Niners will play in Mexico City, they still will have 8 home games at Levi's Stadium, and then the divisions that the Niners will play in 2026, the NFC East and the AFC West. So the Niners' home opponents, we do know this as of right now, and you can start to configure your schedule predictions and record predictions for San Francisco looking ahead to the 2026 campaign. The Niners, of course, will play the 3 teams inside the division: defending champion Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals. They will also play at home the Denver Broncos and the Philadelphia Eagles. Other home games feature the Las Vegas Raiders coming to Santa Clara or Mexico City, the Washington Commanders, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Miami Dolphins. So those are the home games for San Francisco. Of course, one of those games will be in Mexico City because, again, that is a home game for San Francisco. The Niners on the road will play the 3 divisional teams inside the NFC West: Seattle Seahawks, the Rams in Melbourne, Australia, the Cardinals, and the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry World. Niner fans are going to be able to take over Jerry World. That's going to make for a really cool atmosphere. And then furthermore, as we flip the page, the Niners try and get that revenge on Kansas City. Will Patrick Mahomes be playing then, coming off that knee injury, that torn ACL? We'll see. The Niners' shortest travel of the year will be against the Los Angeles Chargers, the site of Super Bowl 61, which will take place at SoFi Stadium, cross-country travel to New Jersey to play the New York Giants, and then another long travel to play the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. So that brings us to this, and this is also part of the broader question of today's show. Are the Niners getting screwed over by the NFL because they better get those frequent flyer miles ready? The Niners are going to be traveling a lot in 2026. With trips to Australia and Mexico City, the 49ers will travel more than 38,000 miles in 2026, the most of any NFL team in the history of the National Football League. When the Niners go to Melbourne, Australia, round trip, nearly 16,000 miles. Niners in Mexico City, nearly 4,000 miles. Traveling to Atlanta, more than 4,200 miles. Going to play the Giants, more than 5,000 miles. When the Niners play the Cardinals on the road at State Farm Stadium, that'll span more than 1,200 miles. Niners at Chiefs, nearly 3,000 miles. Niners at Seahawks, 1,400 miles. When the Niners go to Texas, just outside of Dallas, that'll be nearly 3,000 miles traveled round trip. A short trip to play the Chargers, just 616 miles from Northern California. That brings the total mileage to 38,105. Again, the most miles traveled for any team in the history of the league. That can take a toll on the body for sure. For a team that has been one of the most injured teams in football going all the way back to 2013, it's a little bit of a concern. The plus for San Francisco in being up in the air so much, more time away from the electrical substation, which is right next to their practice field and right next to their practice facility. I kid, kind of. The question, of course, becomes, which I posed to you just moments ago, are the Niners getting screwed by the National Football League? I don't really think so. I think playing in some of these international games is a great opportunity. The 49ers are a legendary franchise with iconic brand recognition globally. Fans should be elated, excited to see their team play in the biggest of games, under the brightest of lights, on some of these big stages. I'll also add this. When the Niners, and since the Niners are playing in Northern California, but when they have to travel from SFO or San Jose, it's already a built-in disadvantage because of where they are geographically in the country, so that automatically leads to the Niners every single year having to travel some of the most miles of any team across the NFL because of where they are located in Santa Clara, in the Bay Area, San Francisco, having to travel out of San Francisco Airport or San Jose. But I will pose this question to the audience here. Do you think the Niners are getting screwed by the National Football League? Type yes, type no, sound off with what you think down in the comment section right now. For those of you who have been watching the show here over the last couple of years and over the last couple of months, you've realized that as we started to grow as a company, we've started to design a lot of merch. That includes this Dub City shirt right here. We also have hoodies with the logo on the left pec. If you want this Dub City shirt, it's chatsports.com/dubcity. But also, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and if you want to become a member of the Bay Area drinking team, get one of our limited edition shirts. We have these available in Kelly Green and black. And you think about St. Patty's Day. It's a day where a lot of people throw back some sluggies. They take down some beers. Oftentimes there are events, regardless of where you live, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. It's a day to celebrate. It's a day to drink. What better shirt to wear than this Chat Sports shirt right here? Bay Area drinking team. Become a member right now and get your St. Patrick's Day merchandise at chatsports.com/NinersGreen. All right, the 49ers making their first signing of the 2026 offseason. They have given a one-year contract extension to Nick Zakelj. 6th-round pick by the Niners back in 2022. He has started 4 games for the Niners in his 4-year NFL career. In 2025, he was on the practice squad, did not make the initial 53-man roster, and he played in 3 games for San Francisco. And a lot of you might be wondering, Chase, he's not that good, hasn't been able to crack the rotation. He was on the practice squad in 2025. Why bring Nick Zakelj back? Well, I think the Niners like the fact that he has positional versatility. He can play center. He can play guard. So that gives the Niners a player who can fill in at two different positions. Plus, Nick Sakel gives San Francisco some offensive line depth. Now, I don't think that he's a starter at the NFL level. I think he's more of that practice squad type, more of a guy who is on the fringe of the Niners roster or an NFL roster. But the 49ers at left guard do have some offensive line questions going into this upcoming season. Ben Bartch is going to be a free agent. Spencer Burford going to be a free agent as well. We know that Jake Brendel is completely average at the center position. I think the Niners need to upgrade at center and left guard. Nick Sakel is not an upgrade at center or left guard, but again, he's a part of the 90-man roster, and he gives San Francisco offensive line depth, positional versatility, and a guy who can be a training camp body at the very least. Now, you look at the Niners 2026 free agents. These are the unrestricted free agents. These players can hit free agency. They are free to sign with any team, and the Niners can't really control that. Ben Bartch, as I mentioned, Kendrick Bourne, Spencer Burford, as I talked about, Jordan Elliott, the defensive tackle, Cleveland Ferrell, defensive lineman. I'd love to see the Niners bring him back as a depth piece at defensive end who can play a little bit of defensive tackle. Yetur Gross-Matos-Sia just can't stay healthy. Luke Gifford, good special teamer. Matt Hennessy, a backup center. Jawan Jennings, I think he gets paid in free agency. Jason Pinnock, I'm okay with him leaving. Not that good of a player. Eddie Pinheiro, the kicker. He's actually one of the more important players that I think the Niners need to bring back. Sky Moore was very dynamic as a returner after the Niners traded for him prior to the year. Brian Robinson, I think the Niners might let him go and let Jordan James take the reins as RB2 behind Christian McCaffrey. Thomas Morstead, I think the Niners could upgrade at punter. He's older and the leg just isn't that strong. John Weeks was a good long snapper this past year. Patrick Taylor, more of a special teamer as compared to a backup running back. Trent Taylor, barely knew ya. Kevin Givens, defensive tackle. So those are the unrestricted free agents for the Niners. It's funny that the kicker is probably the most important player that I think the Niners need to retain. Jawan Jennings, certainly up there, but the Niners need to get younger, faster, and more explosive on offense. Jawan Jennings doesn't really help you there. Plus, again, I think the Niners get outpriced. Restricted free agents. The Niners would be able to match some of these deals if another team tried to pluck one of these players away, as compared to unrestricted free agents who can hit the market with ease. Robert Beal, the defensive end, I just don't think the Niners need to bring him back. Kalia Davis, defensive tackle, solid depth piece there. Taron Jackson, more of a training camp body. Chase Lucas, good special teamer. I think he's capable of playing in the slot for a team. Sam Okuwanu, a good depth piece who can play a couple different positions along the defensive line. And then Jake Tonches. George Kittle coming off that torn Achilles. If the Niners sign Isaiah Likely, they have Jake Tonches as their tight end 3. I think that's a really good tight end room. I would prioritize locking down Jake Tonches on a new contract. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. We're bringing you nonstop content right here on the show.